What's going on, everybody? The holidays are over. Everyone's already forgotten about the resolutions already and all that, so let's put that behind us. Today's a pretty exciting video. Got a couple things going on. I know you guys have a lot of questions about the Panasonic G7 and the Canon M50 because they both slide into the $500-ish range, and they're mirrorless cameras. They're very capable. 4K autofocus, flip out screen. Neither of these are necessarily brand new cameras, but as of right now, beginning of 2019, these seem like the best cameras available out there for the $500 range. They're both awesome cameras. I've seen great things done with both, so I don't think you could go wrong with either or, but we're gonna find out which one has a slight edge over the other. Also, we got speed boosters to test out on both of these cameras. That's pretty cool. Speed boosters have been around for Micro Four Thirds for a while, but just now have they started releasing ones for the EOS M lenses, which the Canon M50 uses. And that's not all. I feel like infomercial salesman, you know, which I kind of am, because this video is sponsored by Skillshare, by the way, but you guys know what that means. We're doing a giveaway at the end of the video, so stay tuned, and one of the winners will be chosen at random, and that winner will be able to decide if they want a free Canon M50 or free Panasonic Lumix G7. Anyways, both of these cameras are currently set to ISO 200 at an f-stop of 4.5, shutter speed at 160, white balance on daylight, and they're both just straight out of the box, just straight standard color profile, nothing tweaked. Now I'm surprised how similar these cameras are looking, especially in the studio. We're gonna try out a few more environments. We're still in 4K. Right now I got some direct sun blasting my face right now, and I'm like squinting. I'm trying not to squint too much. My eyes are tiny. Don't even think about it. I know you're thinking something racist. Don't even think it. And I think the biggest difference is really in the highlight roll off. You can kind of see how one camera looks a little bit different. Like if you look at just the way the light kind of rolls and the highlights on my cheeks and stuff like that, it's pretty different between the two cameras. Now I'm like completely in the shade. I just have this camera here so I can use it as a microphone. Hi, I can be standing all the way back here and you can still hear me because I'm using audio from here and picture from those two cameras. This is complicated. This might actually be a pretty decent test for dynamic range as well, because I'm in the shadow and now I'm in direct, blasted by sunlight. All right, now we are slightly in the shade, and I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I went into this video thinking like I'm gonna be talking trash about Panasonic's color science, but it's actually looking pretty dang close. Looking at some of the shots with the dogs, one looks slightly more magenta and one looks slightly more green, but they're way more similar than I would have ever expected. The 4K really impressive on both cameras. Let's see how the HD looks. So now both cameras are recording in HD. Let's see if there's a difference in quality here. To make sure I don't step in dog poop, I'm an expert at stepping in dog poop. If there's dog poop to be stepped on, I will manage to find it and step on it accidentally. We got both of these cameras on prime lenses at about a 50mm equivalent at f2.8 on both. So this is pretty shallow depth of field. We're gonna get a lot of background blur, which is gonna make it pretty difficult on the autofocus. So we're gonna test that. And also, we're listening to the onboard audio from camera number 1 right now, and here's how it sounds like if we were to switch the audio to camera number 2. So now this is what the other camera sounds like, and this is internal audio, so not really recommended to use internal audio, but sometimes you just need to use it, and here's how it sounds. Both of these monitors, I constantly see me drifting in and out of focus. This is tough, because remember, both of these cameras are in 4K, and neither of them have great autofocus in 4K. The Canon M50 does have dual pixel autofocus, which is one of the best autofocus systems that I've ever used, but it only works in HD. Once you switch it into 4K, then poof, it's gone, which tends to hunt a lot. There's a lot more guesswork and it's less reliable. The Panasonic G7 also has autofocus, but once you're in 4K, it's significantly slower and it's actually pretty bad. Now I'm gonna just float around a little bit and see which one loses me more frequently. And again, neither of these are gonna be that great because we're filming in 4K. We'll have to try this test again in HD after this. But while I move around, why don't you guys try to figure out which camera's which, while I also tell you about Skillshare, our sponsor for today. Now, you know, when you want to learn a new skill or a hobby or whatever, you usually go to YouTube and just find a bunch of short little tutorials. You find a bunch of jackasses like me just like blabbing out stuff, and I don't really know what I'm talking about. Guys, this is a confession. I honestly have no idea what am I talking about. Where am I? But on Skillshare, you're actually gonna find long form content that's gonna teach you start to finish a certain skill, and they have pretty much everything. Obviously, if you want to learn about cameras, design, photography, videography, wedding videography, whatever. If you want to learn how to edit, there's Premiere courses, there's Final Cut course, like anything you can think of, there's probably a course on it. I was browsing Skillshare the other day and I found some dog training courses that I might have to take because you don't listen to me ever. No, you don't. See, I keep seeing the autofocus struggling so hard on these cameras to stay up with me, but there's zero risk to try out Skillshare. You could try it out with my link in the description. First 500 people to click it and sign up get to use it for free for 2 whole months, and it's basically like Netflix, where if you have an account, you have access to everything in their database. So you just sign up for one account, and then you have access to tons of courses. This camera is super out of focus. Get back and focus on my face. Camera number 2 has no problems when I get like intimately close. Like, it has no issues, it just focuses on my face very quick. Not camera number 1 though. Camera number 1 has intimacy issues for sure, because as soon as I get close, it's like, okay, you're still soft. You're kind of close, but you're still soft. And there, finally. That took a really long time. Sometimes this camera does great, sometimes this camera does great, but they both sometimes just suck. Camera number 1 just died on me. Neither of these cameras have great battery life, but yeah, don't forget to click that link in the description for Skillshare. Try it out for 2 months, and if you like it, it's less than 10 bucks a month on an annual plan afterwards, so good bang for the buck, much cheaper than anywhere else you can learn anything. What can you learn for $10 anywhere else besides the public library? No one goes to the public library, except for 2 of my roommates. All right, so one final test before I tell you guys which camera is which is we are in a dark environment. I have all my lights set to the dimmest level they go to, and we are at ISO 3200 right now. So maybe check and see how much grain that both of them have in case you're in a low light environment. Here's another sample clip at 6400 ISO, and camera 1 seems to be the better low light performer. Camera 2 starting to see some noise, and it's just not as sharp. After editing that last segment in 4K, it was just so frustrating because there's so much out of focus footage. The 4K autofocus on both cameras suck. I wouldn't use either of them if I was a YouTuber. If you're trying to film yourself, autofocus is really high priority. So with both these cameras, I would just go straight to HD, because the Canon M50 has great dual pixel autofocus in HD. The Panasonic has much faster autofocus. By the way, both cameras have been using native lenses, so Canon has been using Canon lenses, and Panasonic has been using Panasonic lenses. Now, so far, I feel like it's been pretty difficult to differentiate between the 2 cameras, right? Like, are you guys confident at which camera is which? I'm gonna throw that poll right there. I want you guys to click it and tell me which camera you think is which. Now, after playing with these cameras for a while, I think the biggest difference lays in the autofocus capabilities in HD. The dual pixel autofocus from Canon is one of the best autofocuses I've ever seen. Look how fast the Canon caught me. And finally, the G7 caught me. So yeah, camera 2 is the Canon M50, camera 1 is the Panasonic G7. Canon's autofocus is so great, and it's so fast, and it's so reliable, and it's one of the main reasons why I buy so many Canon cameras, is look how fast the Canon caught my face opposed to the Lumix. I'm gonna pop into frame, both cameras are focused on the background, and just watch how fast the Canon M50 catches me. It's insane. Like, if you step away from the camera, it knows you stepped away and goes right up to you, opposed to like a lot of other cameras that are like, I have no idea where he went. See, look how fast that was. That's amazing. All right, so now let's take a quick look at the cameras themselves. Now, I really like the design of the G7. I think it looks pretty cool. I like the colors on it. It does feel a little bit plasticky. The Canon M50 feels a little bit more solid in the hand. It's a little bit more compact. Now, in terms of picture quality, I'm kind of torn. Like, on a couple of the side-by-side comparison shots, I actually preferred how the G7 came out looking, which I was actually pretty surprised about. And I was also really surprised that the G7 looked better in low light, especially since it's a micro four thirds sensor. I was really impressed with how it looked, and actually the M50 looked pretty bad next to it, so I went back and I reshot it. I triple checked the focus on it and everything, and definitely the G7 looked a little bit cleaner in the low light, so that was pretty unexpected. But at the same time, I did take the G7 out and I tried to shoot a little vlog with it and try to get some footage with it, and I just wasn't super happy with the image that came out of that particular shoot. And since I've been using the M50 for so long, I know I would have been happy with the results out of this camera. So I really think it depends on the environment on which camera looks better. With the G7, I kept getting this feeling that it was a little bit video-y and less filmic, but maybe it's just because I'm so used to the look from the Canon M50 that I'm just not used to seeing the G7 footage, but I don't know. My point is, the image quality out of both of these cameras are phenomenal, so you really can't go wrong with either or. I think the G7 shows a little bit more green and the M50 goes a little more magenta, but you can kind of tweak tweak those very easily in post-production. And also the standard picture profile on the Canon seemed a little bit more contrasty, but these are all simple adjustments you can make on the camera. But yeah, in terms of image quality, they both did really, really well. It's a $500 camera. This is amazing. Now, both of these cameras are very much capable for photography as well, but I'm a video dude. I don't know much about photography, so let's skip through that part. But they're both loaded with awesome features like time lapses and stuff to keep you busy. Micro Four Thirds or the EOS M lenses, they're great because they're so compact. I mean, this is basically ready to go and it's tiny. But if you don't care so much about the size and want to get more of cinematic images, I definitely recommend you guys look into these speed boosters, because what it basically does is take a full frame lens like this and it basically reshapes the light out of the back, so it compresses that light a little bit more, which gives you more light, so better for low light environments. It gives you shallower depth of field and it basically makes it look more like you're shooting out of a cinema camera opposed to a small censored camera. All right, so this is what it looks like if I have the 16mm with a speed booster. I could get everyone in the frame with me. So speed boost. And this is a 16mm without the speed booster, so it's a little bit darker. It's harder to squeeze everyone in the frame, but keep in mind that if you're using this for vlogging, it is going to increase the size because a lot of these adapters uses Canon EF lenses, which tend to be bigger, and then you slap an adapter behind it and then put it onto the camera. It's going to be bigger. All right, so overall, what are we dealing with here? We have the M50 on this side. Sorry for my terrible handwriting. I've been trying to get through my YouTube career without showing you guys how bad my handwriting is, but I'm kind of sick and tired of making all these graphics, so I might as well just get it filmed and then done. Now, I've been trying to give you guys as much information as possible without giving you my full-on opinion on it so that you guys can make up your mind on your own, but here's where I'm going to get biased and tell you guys which one I would pick. The G7, you can definitely find it a tad bit cheaper. You can easily find a lens with the camera body for $500. The M50, you might have to scavenge around a little bit. You can still get a body new for $500, but a lot of times if you're going to get it with the body and the lens, it could get like $550, closer to $600, and you just have to look around at who has the best deal, Amazon, eBay, whatever. Low light, that's pretty impressive. I was not expecting the Micro Four Thirds to have better low light performance than the Canon M50. Another thing I like about the G7 is the switches it has. It has more switches for different things. Okay, I spelled that right. I was always the first one out of the spelling bee. Now with the M50, you only really have this one dial to adjust most of your settings, and you kind of press different buttons to toggle what this does. The G7 on the other hand has a dial up here and a dial up here for aperture, shutter, and then you can toggle between ISO white balance on these switches as well. So that extra dial and extra switches is kind of nice, especially if you're running the camera's manual mode and you want to just kind of fly through those settings. Also, another factor is no crop in 4K. That is nice because if you switch between HD and 4K on the M50, you get that crop in 4K mode. But on the G7, no matter what resolution you're shooting on, it's gonna look the same. So that's a plus. The native lenses, and I'm talking about Micro Four Thirds versus EOS M lenses. I think there's more exciting stuff going on with Micro Four Thirds. So if you're not looking to adapt it to different types of lenses, you're probably gonna have a better time finding Micro Four Thirds lenses out there. Opposed to EOS M, there's a few good ones out there. Like this is a 22mm f2, which is pretty nice, and it's nice and compact, but besides that, there just hasn't been too much that really caught my eye in the EOS M line. And it also comes with log color profiles built in, meaning flat picture profiles that you can grade after the fact. Although I'm not a huge fan of using log settings with 8-bit color, just because when it comes to grading it, sometimes you see a whole lot of banding, and I'm just not a fan. There are several profiles you can get for the M50, but they don't come built in. You have to kind of install it yourself. It's not hard, but it's not the easiest process I've ever seen either. So G7 has that. And if any of these features seem really awesome to you, then the G7 is a great option. But myself, I would go for the Canon M50 because there's one thing that the Canon M50 does so good, which is the autofocus. I have to clarify, in HD, not in 4K. That shit sucks. The Canon dual pixel autofocus is like the only autofocus that I really trust, especially to film these videos, because I've filmed hours and hours in front of this camera. I'm filming at an f2.8, and unless I'm doing something like crazy like this and then like back out and all that, then I've never lost a take because of autofocus, because because when it locks onto my face, it doesn't like randomly just shift out for a split second. And I've tried every autofocus setting on the G7. I've tried the face detection, the tracking. Like I went online and everyone seems to have a different recommendation on what they say is the best vlog autofocus setting. I've tried them all and none of them are nearly as good as the dual pixel autofocus on the M50. And because of that, I would say that alone is a reason for me to go to the M50. Another factor is the sensor, which is a 1.6 times crop factor. The Canon M50 has an APS-C sensor. Now the difference between the APS-C and the micro four thirds sensor wasn't as significant as I thought it would be. I was definitely able to still get a nice blurry background out of the micro four thirds sensor, but generally speaking, if you're concerned about the sensor size, then the M50 does have that bigger APS-C sensor. Another thing is the stabilization in the body. This is kind of iffy because it's a digital image stabilization and it has 3 different modes. And it does a pretty decent job just kind of pulling out those like micro vibrations. It's not like Sony's IBIS or anything like that where the sensor is actually balancing itself out, but it still does help a little bit. Like right now, the M50 has stabilization in the lens and also digital image stabilization in the body. The G7 right now only has it in the lens. And if you don't have a lens with image stabilization, you're gonna get a whole lot of that jiggle. Another factor is that 120 FPS, super slow motion. It's 720p, so it's not incredible, but it's not bad, and the G7 maxes out at 60p. And also, this is kind of subjective, but I did prefer the sound quality out of this M50 as well. So that's why I personally would go for that M50. Yeah, I'm gonna give him a tongue too. He's a badass. Oh man, he's gonna be angry. Dude, what a gangster. I don't like that nose actually. I should, sorry. Carrie, I need a new table. But there we go. I think that pretty much wraps it up. Now let's talk about this giveaway now. All you gotta do is leave a comment down below telling me which one of these cameras would you prefer to win and what do you plan on doing with the camera. And we're gonna randomly select a comment to win one of these two. So let me know. Let's read a few comments from the last video and call it a day. The top comment from the last video was, the problem with camera gear is once you buy something, it leads to you wanting about 50 other things. That is 100% true. That's the thing, guys, is that these cameras may be 500 bucks, but give it a year or two. Once you add up all your accessories, you'll just be like, holy crap, I just bought a $3,000 tripod and $4,000 worth of lenses. What am I doing with myself? I can't pay rent. My wife's gonna kill me. Chico says, petition for an ASMR channel where you tickle all kinds of camera gear. The Lumix G7 has a really nice design to it, but it's also very plasticky. You can hear it. Just scratch it. Now that is a satisfying dial, isn't it? I kind of creep myself out with that. Matt222 says, where's the giveaway? I really want that Steadicam for my M50. For that video, Gio is in charge of picking out a randomized winner using some software thing that basically just like randomizes a bunch of comments. Let me call him real quick. Can you come to the studio real quick? Yeah, I'll be right there. Did you pick out a giveaway winner for the SL2 and all those accessories? Yeah. You did it already. Can you tell us who it is? No. You didn't do it yet, did you? Tomorrow. Tomorrow you'll pick it out? Okay. For sure. But let me show you one of the winners for the Insta360. End of video.